Good morning, Texas Southern University, and welcome to another episode of The Production. I'm your host, Alexis Smith, and this is my co-host,
Denzel Lewis. Today on The Production, we'll be discussing relationships of our generation.
With such topics as marriage,
Side pieces,
situationships,
and faithfulness and monogamy.
Great, so let's get right into it. Marriage, which is very, very important, and it's also a sensitive topic. Most Americans are definitely saying no thanks till I do. Why is that, you think?
Just for the simple fact that people don't want to get married. Look at our generation. Like, everybody's into, just the fast pace, going to the clubs every night, just doing their own thing, doing their business.
Sounds like fun to me. Most Americans do have a vision of how he or she sees marriage in their future. So you start off in college in a perfect world, you get into your career, and then eventually you may, find someone that you're interested in and have a very nice relationship with that person, become committed. It leads to marriage, maybe kids. That throws you off path. So in that instance, what could you provide to our audience as far as some really good advice when it comes to side pieces and things of that nature?
Well, it's never good advice when it comes to side pieces, but I'm not going to sit there in front and say I don't have side pieces, because I'm not really one for a relationship or marriage. I'd rather just focus on my business, actually making money, doing something with my life, progressing. Don't get me wrong, you can get married and your partner will actually help you and be your sponsor, I guess. But me personally, I'm more of a person to get it done by myself. So with the side piece thing, I like it a little bit more. Because I don't have to text you every day. I don't have to worry about coming home to you. No offense, I do like a home-cooked meal, but I know how to cook myself. So.
Wow. Well, you're definitely not alone, because according to the Washington Post, a recent report released by the Census Bureau says that young adults today, 1 out of 5, have never been married past the age of 25. So that is alarming. Now, think about this. If this trend continues, when today's young adults reach their mid-40s and 50s, they will never have been married. That's astonishing to me.
It happens. So let's go ahead and move on.
But even more so, amongst African Americans, the trend is even more startling, because we would have never entered the sanctity of marriage at all. That can be very scary, which leads us to believe that marriage has now become a business of sorts.
That's sort of kind of what it's like. I mean, you have somebody that's sponsoring you, they're like your backbone, basically. So that's kind of like a business. Yeah, it's like a backbone. But, what do you feel about marriage?
I think that the traditional aspect of marriage is now fading.
Okay.
And the recent census report shows that. It reflects that. And young adults today, they don't really view marriage in the same context as our mothers and our grandmothers, our fathers and our grandfathers. We have clearly moved past that. It's very stark in comparison to the past. So in retrospect, not to deviate back, but I must, with these so-called side pieces, and that is a very popular term today, people.
Do you have side pieces?
No, because if I'm going to be in a relationship personally, then I'm going to be committed to that relationship. Remember, if you cannot commit to the relationship, it's okay to quit that relationship. Just do it amicably.
Okay. So do you feel like commitment is 100% strong in our generation nowadays?
I feel that we're human, and actually, I'm glad that you brought that up, but according to another study, it has actually been said that most Americans and people in general participate in deviant behavior. So it's not entirely possible to be totally committed at all times. But everything in balance, everything in moderation. You have to have respect for each other. But on another note, you may not even know that you're a side piece. And that's when you need to pay attention to the red flags. So what are some red flags we can share with our audience so that they will know that he or she indeed may be a side piece?
Well, some red flags. Well, if you don't get a good morning text or a good night text, you're definitely a side piece.
Absolutely.
If you get the 2 a.m., what are you doing? I just left the club text, you're a side piece.
Absolutely. I agree.
If you don't get the, hey, get dressed, I'm coming to pick you up, we about to go on a date, you're a side piece. So basically, I'm just giving you everything that you should just be aware of. Some people probably looking at their phone right now like, dang, I didn't get that good morning text.
I mean, it seems as though it should be common sense to some degree. However, it may not be because you have feelings involved. But I would say you're definitely a side piece. And the number one trigger for me is when you can't call after a certain amount of time and get a return call back or return text back. And it's on a regular basis. If you've never met their family, close friends, especially a mother, a grandmother, if that person has children and you've never met the child or children after a certain point of time, that is definitely a red flag. And the waving red flag for me is BD Day, Valentine's Day. So if you're not going out on a date with your prospective partner on that day, not the day before, not the day after, but on that day, you are definitely a side piece.
See, personally, once Valentine's Day comes around, Denzel's single, so you don't ever have to worry about that.
That's definitely a cop out.
I mean, no, it's not that. No, it is that. I'm lying. I'm lying, so I'm not even gonna say that.
Honesty is appreciated. Pass
So
that on
let's
to
go
your
ahead
other
and
male
just
friends.
switch it up to faithfulness, because sometimes I can't be faithful.
And that's hard one for most males.
Yeah, it is. But in order for me to be faithful, you can't come at me about sex on the first day. That's just that.
Okay, and why is that?
What do you mean? Because you're a side piece. Now I'm going to hit you up at 2 a.m. like, what's up?
Okay, so your side piece, from your experience, knows very clearly that she is a side piece. Because then that would be okay between you two. However, when we use that term side piece, that indicates that you're already in a committed relationship. So if you're dating many women, hey, just be honest and let them know, hey, you're not the only one I'm dating unless you're participating in, what's that word of the day again? Deviant behavior. Think about that. Meditate on that and pass that on to your male friends.
That's a good one.
It is. So what else can we, enrich our audience with as it pertains to our 4 topics today? I think it's a very, very sensitive topic, and it's also very serious.
Okay.
Remember Lorena Bobbitt, that incident, the cheating, and he lost his best friend. Some call him Peter, and you don't want that to happen. So
I feel like with all this being said, if you wear a condom, which all y'all should be wearing condoms, you'll be good.
Okay.
That's just that. You don't have to worry about kids, STDs, HIV.
That's right. And just, honesty is key. Remember, if you cannot commit, it's okay to quit, but do it in person, not via social media, and do it amicably. That way you can leave respectively. And if you're in a situationship, all parties involved, please know what your limitations are, what can be done and what cannot be done. So if everyone involved, because you have relationships where there's more than 2 people involved as well. And it's not just polygamy. You have relationships where you can have a male, female, and then you have relationships where you can have a female married to many men. Were you aware of that?
Yeah.
That was a new one for me. I was doing some research on that, and I was astonished. It's more prevalent in the Himalayan community and amongst Indians. So a little trivia for you. Why do you think that is?
I ain't really good at trivia. I'm not going to lie to you.
Let's give it a try. Help them out. Our studio audience, do you want the studio audience to help you out? Or
no.
Our folks at home can go online and ... It's business. Basically, a woman will marry a group of brothers to keep all the land, all the money, all the property in one family name or entity. And that's, money is power. So like we said, marriage and commitment, it all boils down to what? A business agreement. So we leave you with this. Marriage is a business. So love is not in the fine print. So be careful who you associate yourselves with.
All right. Thank you for joining on another episode of The Projection. Tune in next week for some more hot topics.